Yeah, welcome so much, everyone. I'm really happy to see you. And I see all of you. And I would like to bring into our meditation a quote from Ken McLeod from his commentary on verse 24, which is the one we are covering today. I really love the commentary by Ken McLeod. So in each chapter for me, there's like really jewels I chew upon and explore and resonate with. And then when I read them again after a few days, again are fresh. So what I'm reading is conceptually probably something we kind of have understood. But again, it's so precious to get reminders and also opportunities to feel into what is being said right now. So he says, when you no longer oppose what is happening in you, when you no longer oppose what is happening in you. So that's the first part of the sentence. And already there can be like a bit of a pause, a bit of feeling into. So there's a moment, right? We all experience a moment. A moment is unfolding. It is what it is. It's connected with everything else. It has 15 billion years of evolution behind it, and now it's unfolding. Can't be different than it is, right? Because it's connected with everything else, like a wave in a shoreless ocean. And somehow we are blessed by experiencing it. So there's the moment unfolding, and there's many millions of other moments unfolding everywhere, but this is the one you experience. So because you are in there, there's awareness. So it's not just a moment unfolding, it's a moment unfolding within awareness, within you could say. And there's feelings, there's thoughts, there's what you see, there's what you hear, there's what you taste, there's what you smell. And actually each of these 5 sense gates are in itself a big mystery. Something extraordinary is happening right now. And you are effortlessly aware of it. So this moment is unfolding. And as we have heard often in the Buddhist teachings, suffering is something added, suffering is optional, and suffering depends on how we relate to what is unfolding in this moment. When you no longer oppose what is happening in you, what does that mean? So I want to explore that in our meditation. And this first half of the sentence also invites us to be curious in what are my ways to oppose what is happening? Not only this precise moment which is unfolding, but what are my strategies to oppose what is unfolding in my life right now? What are my defense, suppress, project, denial strategies? Not defense mechanism which prevents me and protects me to be really here, to experience this moment to its fullest. I'm teaching the same text also in German, in a German translation, and it happened that we reached the same verse last week, and the German translation was more into the direction of defending. So how do I defend myself? Well, more common is the word resist. Yeah. What in me wishes this moment to be different than it is? And what does it do with the felt sense of my body, with my breath, with my belly? And maybe even considering that opposing this moment is not necessary, that there's another way, another option for us to be here, maybe can give a bit of release. Like, okay, how about feeling how I feel? How about gravitating towards a yes to what I'm feeling right now, what is happening in my body right now, what is around me? How about relaxing into letting this moment be what it is? So when you're no longer, and this is really profound, this is a lifelong practice, because the conditioned mind, the narrative self, is a master in opposing the present moment, is a master in wanting something else than what is and trying to get rid of what we don't like. Yeah. Recognize one of the sufferings being described in the teachings of the Buddha. Yeah. We are constantly not getting what we want, and we don't get what we want. So we're sitting here, a moment which has 15 billion years behind it, and we complain. We want it to be different. We want something else. It's insane. It's completely insane. And to become aware of these patterns in us, that's the way to relax them. Yeah? So that's what awareness does. So we don't need to. I mean, obviously, we don't blame ourselves for it, because it's something within our system which is there because something happened to us in the past. So there's nobody to blame for being like a little child, wanting 15 billion years of evolution to be different. So there's no blame there, but we can feel into an alternative. And again, this is a process. So it's unrealistic to be too ambitious. Yeah. So, but we can soften it. We can soft. We can feel. We can feel how, and even just to ask, how would it be If I, with the next in-breath, I just open to what is, and with the out-breath, I soften all these patterns who want things to be different, all this contraction, all this defense mechanism. The out-breath just to relax them, and then to see what happens. And then, of course, the narrative self will try to seduce you and will try to come up with arguments why that is a stupid idea. So, why it is a stupid idea to be happy in the present moment. Yeah, because for the narrative self, this is very threatening. The narrative self lives from opposing and seeking. That's what it is. It is a never-ending process, a loop, like an endless loop of not wanting what is and seeking something else. So what would happen with that loop, which we are identified with, when we relax into the present moment, it was just, that would be the end of it. And it will not give up just like that. So we can enjoy the show. Enjoy the show of the parts of you who pretend that they want to be happy, but they actually are attached to suffering, because that's what they want to, that's where they live from, that's the juice they need. Yeah, suffering, struggling, resisting. So then the Kennercloak starts. So if you do that, if you not longer oppose, or let's put it more realistic, if we gravitate a little bit to it, towards it, less imposing, less opposing, less suppressing, less resisting. And then he says, you are able to rest. Yeah, this is like, wow. Isn't that maybe one way to describe what we really yearn for? Like just rest, peace. Just peace. And peace as a felt sense in your body, complete peace in every cell in your body. Now rest. It's a beautiful word. I often say in my instructions, like something like, allow yourself to be in a place of rest. Yeah? And as always, I invite you, when I say things like that, to let these words drift into your heart instead into your head. Could you allow yourself to rest? And then maybe there is a bit of a softening somewhere. And there might be something else which tries to prevent you to rest, because this is not good enough and you're not good enough and you need to do 20 years more of meditation or emptiness study and then you can rest. Or you need to fix this thing with a job or with your relationship, or you need to come into a place of optimal health and then you can rest. It's not working. Yeah, it's important to realize that. It's not your fault. It's not working. It's really not working. To come to rest by getting what you want and getting rid of you don't want. It's not working. It's the wrong strategy. That's samsara, right? To try to do that since beginningless time. Finding a place of rest by fixing what is happening in your life. Trying to fix that, trying to control that. You need to understand this is not working. It's a very important Buddhist realization. It's called renunciation. And it's not good enough to hear that again and again. You need to check up in your life. I mean, if you are 40, 50 now, by now, I think until 40, I can understand if people still, try that. But at one point it has to be enough. So you tried that relationship and that job and that, and still you are not, you don't embody still, you don't embody, and this is actually a possibility for all of us. You don't embody joy in every moment, independent of what is happening. That's a possibility. It's available to all of us. But it's not available to the strategy of trying to control what is happening in your life. It's only available through inner work. And that's what we do in the Buddhist tradition and with this text. It's an inner work. So you are able to rest and see more clearly. Yeah. See more clearly. It's like, when we are in the fight flight, in the trying to control, in the trying to resist, literally higher brain function are shut off. We don't see clearly. We get more and more confused. And the responses to the people in our life and to the situations in our life, they are coming from a lower part of our brain. When we then react instead of responding, when we react, we actually most often, or maybe almost always, we create a bigger mess, more suffering for us and the people around us. So we see clearly, or you could say, I see more calm. I'm more calm. I'm more in touch with my heart. My response to the situation or to the person comes from a deeper place, comes from my love, for my compassion, for my creativity. So, and then a little later, there's another instruction I want to bring into our meditation, and this is don't worry if you don't understand what is being described here. This is a very profound way to practice. So he says, in doing this, you're mixing awareness with what you experience. You're mixing awareness with what you experience. Maybe to make this sentence initially a bit more accessible, you could say, you are mixing calm with what you experience. You're mixing presence with what you experience. So, and in one way, this is an experience we can recognize in our life. Like if you are in a good place in your life, like if you have done a weekend meditation retreat or something like that, and there's more presence, more you're resting more within awareness, within the inner stillness, and then you come home into the same situation, into the same job. And you notice that somehow, at least for a while, maybe for a few hours, maybe for a few days, that which before the retreat really freaked you out there's the experience, the same problem, the same person is somehow infused with some sense of more peace, or some sense of more space. So you notice yourself that you're not as reactive as you were before the retreat. So you're mixing awareness with what you experience. So this is actually starting to gravitate towards what is called the experience of non-duality. The experience that awareness and what you're aware of are not two different things. Yeah. You're mixing awareness with what you experience, and what you experience with awareness. It's a slightly different way to say the same thing. Mixing what you experience with awareness. Yeah. It's more like letting it in. The other more sounds like you open to the experience, and you bring your calm, your silence, your presence into the experience. And the other is more you allow the experience to come in, and it is infused by that calm and by that stillness. So this is a slightly different practice than what you would call witness consciousness or observer self. So and I have been using instructions connected with that kind of practice before. So it's this practice of, or Tara Brach calls it, stepping into the background. Yeah. Or I guess I have used this image of a stream, as of our experience is a stream, and we have the option in our practice to step out of the stream and look at it from a witness perspective. I am not my feelings. I am that what is aware. I am not my thoughts. I am that what is aware. So this is a very important provisional step. But here, in this practice, it's different. It's more like just completely stepping into the experience, not stepping onto the river, onto the side of the river and letting it pass, but it's more plunging into the river and being completely free in it and just moving with it, like kind of going with the flow. Yeah. No separation. So this is, of course, I'm describing something which is undescribable, but maybe this possibility is a good option to explore, particularly if you have difficulties with this practice, practice instructions, which seem to apply that you have to kind of detach yourself, that you have to move back. Yeah. And I know that, and for some people, that move is really liberating and leads them into a deep rest. But for other people, it feels wrong, or it seems like it's not the right direction. Yeah, they feel more like that the relaxation and the rest is more in letting go into the experience instead of going back into a witness perspective. So let's just play and see what happens. So I invite you to adjust your posture. Taking your seat. And take your time to play a bit with your spine, and with the position of your head. If you like, you can close your eyes. If you keep them open, they are relaxed without particularly looking at something, like more gazing. It's a kind of a gazing. And all senses are open. Notice how the earth, the floor, or the chair carries you. And as always, there's some time for creating a safe space. And one part of that, creating a safe space, is to appreciate that we're together right now in this virtual temple, with people from Europe, from the United States, from Canada, from Africa. So it's a big field, and we are together in that field. And every one of us, as a human being with feeling, we contribute by us being here. And we can broaden this circle also by appreciating how in this moment there's thousands and thousands of other groups and people who are just like us, sitting in the presence of the divine in a temple, be it a Buddhist temple, a Christian temple, it doesn't matter. And then if this makes sense to you, we call upon the presence of our teachers, mentors, the different lineages with which we are connected with here in our group, particularly the lineage of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And going back to the Buddha. But I encourage you to invite the presence of mentors you have had, male and female, Buddhist or non-Buddhist, into this space, surrounding us, protecting us, inspiring us. And sliding towards present moment awareness. And if mindfulness of the breath, the flow of in-breath, out and in and out breath is calming to you, relaxing to you, or at least neutral, And the breath can be a wonderful ally to gravitate to present moment awareness. But for some people, actually, breath awareness is rather a bit disturbing. Yeah? There might be some discomfort or even some anxiety arising. So, and maybe then you choose another anchor with the present moment. For example, your hands, the aliveness in your hands, or the sounds around you. But for most people, the breath is it's a good way to stabilize within present moment awareness. And with the out breath softening and opening, and with the in breaths sliding even more deeply into the felt sense of your body. And the stream of thoughts and mental images and inner dialogue becomes less important. And maybe you start to notice where in the felt sense of your body is aliveness and flow, some openness, and maybe in other parts of your body you feel a bit of a discomfort, a tension, maybe even some pain, some heaviness. So you just become aware of all of that and breathing with that, softening, opening. Within the temple of our meeting, within the presence of our teachers who keep us safe, who protect us. So when you no longer oppose what is happening in the present moment, so is it necessary for you right now to oppose anything? Am I opposing anything? And then you look, noticing. And then with the flow of the in and out breath, softening. So now I would like to invite you to go even deeper in present moment, into present moment awareness. And I will offer you a question. But the question is not meant to bring you into thoughts, but it's an invitation to look. So you stay connected with the flow of the in and out breath, like almost as if the whole body is breathing, felt sense of your body. In an effortless way, very relaxing. So this is not a concentration meditation. So the question is there anything in your experience right now which is not a thought, not a mental image? So you look. So is there anything right now in the moment which is unfolding within and without? Is there anything there which is not a thought and not a mental image? And you look. When you do that, you might become aware of some subtle mental images, some subtle thoughts like body, time, location, even pleasant, unpleasant is a subtle image, a subtle idea. So is there anything right now in your experience, in this moment which is unfolding, which is not a thought, not a mental image, not a belief, not a name, not a memory, not a word? And you look, and you stay there. And insist in, so this looking is more like a gazing. So it's very relaxed. It's like sky gazing. And here we gaze into the inner sky. What we can also enjoy in this moment then is the attempts of the narrative self to seduce you. So what is the narrative self coming up with? Explanations, rational thinking, and so on. Commentary. So you let that be. It's okay. But insist with your whole body, with your heart, with your whole being, to gaze into the thought-free space in an effortless way, so the body stays relaxed, not building up any tension. What do you see? What do you see when you gaze into the thought-free space? That doesn't mean, of course, that thoughts stop. You're just not looking so much there, at least for a few moments. and then rest. If your attention crumbles, and it will, because stability of attention is important in this kind of practice, then you start from the beginning. You know? Maybe you take a little break, open your eyes, or just shifting a bit your position. Then again, sliding into the felt sense of your body. And then the question, is there anything in this moment, in my experience, which is not a thought, not a mental image, not a word, not a memory? And you stare or gaze towards the thought-free space. What do you see? Or could also ask, what do you feel? What do you hear? So what you see, what you hear, what you feel is impossible to describe. Because that would be mental images and thoughts. If there's a bit of a fear there, or confusion, maybe boredom, that's a good sign. So you need to trust. So you need to trust that this gazing is valuable to do. You're gazing into nothing, gazing into not knowing. And enjoy the show of the narrative self, trying to throw out baits to hook you. So you just need to recognize thoughts as thoughts, not more. Not to chase them away, just recognize them for what they are. Also subtle images. I mean, many people who meditate on the breath, they actually meditate on the mental image of the breath. So is there anything here right now, in this moment, which is not a thought, not a mental image, not a memory, not a projection, not a word, not a belief system? Rest in the gazing. What do you see? What do you feel? If there's a sense of an abyss, a sense of groundlessness, which comes with some shrinking from the side of the narrative self, that's a good sign. Just insist on gazing and rest in the gazing. And at one point, what might happen, and don't worry if it doesn't, what might happen is you become aware of a vastness. You become aware of the inner sky, the inner spaciousness. But at this point, actually, inner, outer are recognized as just labels, as just images. So inner and outer doesn't apply anymore. So it is vastness, stillness, limitless, timeless. And these are all words which are not really able to describe. So all you need to do is to insist on gazing into the thought-free space. Relaxed body. And you gaze with your heart, with your being, with your whole body. What do you see? What do you feel? Another possibility is that at one point there's a sense that you can't distinguish anymore that which is gazing and what is being gazed at. Almost as if that what you're gazing at and what is gazing is the same. This is also called awareness of awareness. But there's no two awarenesses. And then you rest. So now allow that spaciousness to infuse your whole experience. Even if you have just a glimpse of that spaciousness, like a sense, what is pointed to you. But infuse that into your surroundings, up, down, to all directions. Into the meeting, into the temple, into the group. A bit like when you are in a Bach concert or some other music which are voices of God. Our music and silence are not separate from each other. Our movement and stillness are not separate from each other. They come together and they are in the same place. So complete openness. And that openness is not separate from what is moving through it. The same way the waves are not separate from the ocean. So every movement right now, within you, around you, are movements of stillness, peace, spaciousness. Like wind is movement of space or movement of air. And this includes everything, every pattern of resistance also, or tiredness or confusion, whatever it is. It's all coming and going within vastness, within presence. Also the sense of I, if there's still a sense of me doing this or meditating or observing, also that is a movement within stillness. Pervaded by stillness. Awareness open into all directions. 5 senses are open. 5 sense gates. No particular way. There's no need to pay attention to anything. Natural attention, effortless attention. You center yourself in the centerless center. Not opposing. But if opposing happens, you don't oppose opposing. Not controlling. But if you're controlling, you're not controlling the controlling. Not interfering. But if interfering happens, you don't interfere with interfering. Not fixing. Not adding something and not taking away. So just this. Just here. Nowhere else to go. And if there's a strong conceptual level, notice that is also part of these movements. So you recognize thoughts as thoughts. And with that, you recognize the insubstantiality of thoughts. And that they don't disturb presence. They don't disturb the vastness. A bird flying through the sky doesn't disturb the sky. So, and then sliding out, you take your time to open your eyes in case they are closed. Maybe you want to adjust your posture. And see if you can integrate the visual into spaciousness. There's always the possibility to connect with a bit of wonderment, that there's something happening just in front of you. So the present moment is happening. You see shapes and colors coming in. 15 billion years of evolution. It's just a myth, but you know what I mean. So if possible, if you can open your camera so I can see you. Because then I don't talk to little black holes, but to people. That's more easier for me. There's no impulse here for talking, just for talking's sake. Yes. There needs to be someone there. Oh, and you have gathered a few people around you. That's so nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Jonathan, Barbara, and Jenny.
Okay. Have I met them before?
Jenny and Jonathan, but not Barbara.
Honest, I remember, yeah. Yeah, right. Good. So welcome to Africa. There's not so many Buddhist sanghas in Africa, so it's really special to make this connection with New York. So if you have a question, you can just interrupt me or write on the chat. But I just want to read the verse and maybe say something to it. All forms of suffering are like dreaming that your child has died. So I'm always amazed how Tibetans take always the worst example. I mean, they are not saying, losing your wallet is like a dream or something like that, or something we can kind of relax into and maybe feel like, yeah, I can see that. And I can see how my attachment leads to suffering. No, bomb, they come with a full, it's amazing. They always do that. I mean, you can't, it's like you can't read a traditional Buddhist text without being scared to hell. I mean, literally to hell, yeah. And this is really cultural. So that would be kind of foolish to take these descriptions of hell or something like literal, yeah. It's a pedagogical tool, and it's a tool which doesn't work for us because we can't handle, and we are not grounded enough, or not, maybe we don't have enough trust in the indestructibility of our own being. So not much connection with our Buddha nature. So when we get images like this, people get scared. Yeah? People get scared. So I think for us it would be better to start with an example like losing your iPhone, which is bad enough, yeah. but I just recently talked with someone who grew up in a monastery, in a Tibetan Buddhist monastery with a Western background, and we talked about that, and he said, yeah, they have to do that because Tibetans are so stubborn. In order to impress them somehow or get some response, you need to come on full on. So that was his explanation. I kind of suspected that, but it was really nice to hear it from someone who grew up with Tibetans since he was a little boy. So all forms of suffering are like dreaming that your child has died. So we have heard this metaphor. Life is like a dream. See everything as a dream. Is often also in instruction for after meditation practice. So you do your meditation, you connect with the spaciousness of the present moment. You connect with how things are interconnected with everything else. You connect with how things are empty, unfindable, that nothing has a solid substance in it. Nothing exists inherently, independently. So the dream image is a metaphor for that. Taking confusion as a real wears you out. So confusion here, that is what is also sometimes called ignorance. So confusion here is that we don't see that the things around us and within us don't exist in the way they appear to us. That's confusion. We are not in touch with reality. We are in touch with our own projections. We don't see things as they are, ourselves and others and the situations. We see them through perceptual filters. In these perceptual filters, they are shaped by karma and trauma, by what has happened to us before and also how we acted before. So we are never in touch with what is happening in front of us or within us, there is a filter, a perceptual filter. And an important part of that perceptual filter is it creates the confusion of the dualistic split. It creates the confusion that there's an I here, which is separate from the object, from what you hear, feel, see. So that's the perceptual filters. The perceptual filters which creates the illusion of separation is very, very deep in us. Now, in the Buddhist tradition, they say it's innate since beginningless time. So as soon as anything unfolds in front of us, within us, there's no time lapse. It appears to us as a separate object. That doesn't mean that it is, but the habit is so strong that it is for us as well, let's say it like this, for us where there's a lot of space for awakening, we don't have so much direct experiences actually. We all have them, but we don't notice them. Because immediately our conceptual mind does something with what we experience. And then more and more, what our conceptual mind does is what we perceive. And we believe that it is what we perceive, what our conceptual mind does. And that wears us out, right? I mean, are we not all exhausted? Because it's this constant struggle with the moment which is unfolding in front of us. It's constant grasping, wanting something else, trying to get rid of something. A constant anxiety, restlessness. Our anxiety, which is you can trace that back to the anxiety of death. Of course, depends on the illusion of a separate solid I, which could die, which needs protection. So taking confusion as real wears us out. The antidote towards confusion is wisdom. And the metaphor of the dream, that this moment is like a dream, is a kind of, is maybe something which can invite us to feel into how would it be if I would take things a little less serious, a little less self-centered. How would it be if I would, in my life, be in wonderment, even facing pain, problem. Maybe many of you are aware of the Tibetan practice of lucid dreaming, or it's also called dream yoga. So lucid dreaming, and this is really something we all can experience. For some, it takes some discipline and some techniques. And I don't want to go into the depths of lucid dreaming, but so lucid dreaming is our capacity to, while in a dream in the night, to recognize that it is a dream, and you kind of wake up in the dream, not in the sense that you wake up into your daily consciousness, but you start you start to see, oh, this is a dream. So imagine that if you never ever had a lucid dream. Some people have them spontaneous, particularly in childhood also. Children often have lucid dreams. So imagine, you have an unpleasant dream and you realize, oh, this is a dream. There's actually nothing threatened here. It's an amazing experience of lightness and vitality. Because in that moment, you are full of wonderment that something is happening, and this can be the most scary monster in front of you, but you're in wonderment what is happening, because nothing is being scared, nothing is being threatened. Nothing can happen. You're safe. Yeah. So this is a bit a description of what starts to happen when we start to see how things really exist, what they are, when we start to look through our projections. And then he continues, he says, when you run into misfortune, look at it as confusion. Yeah? So this is the practice of a bodhisattva. So when you run into misfortune, and let's start with missing a plane instead of losing a child. So in our book, if you are missing a plane, and you really respond to that, not as a life and threat experience, you're pretty awakened. And it's kind of funny if you think about it and you observe yourself, that it becomes a life and death experience. It's so confused, right? I mean, the stress and the fear of missing the plane, as if your life depends on it. It's funny in a way. Can you see how completely exaggerated that is? God, so who cares? I mean, you stay in the airport, have 10 coffees and wait a few hours, or someone pays your hotel, or you go home, or and nothing really happens. But it's our confused mind which makes out of this experience this solid, separate, scary, really stressful thing. So look, so the practice here is, so whenever things like that happen in our life, look at it as confusion. This is my confused mind. This is my immature mind. This is the narrative self. This is my projections. Which makes it then easier to find the space of inner calm. You become more carefree, not careless, but carefree. So you don't care so much, but not in the sense of careless. Yeah. So it's not that you become inconsiderate or something like that, or you resignate or something like that. But you are carefree. You still enjoy the moment. Missing a plane, you still enjoy the moment. It's an unfolding moment with 15 billion years of evolution behind. And somehow, in a wondrous way, the moment in front of you is the experience of missing a plane. And there's joy, because then also you recognize, hey, 10 years ago, I used to completely freak out. And now I still freak out a little bit, but compare to 10 years ago, completely different. You see, then you start to be confident about your own awakening, because that's a symptom of awakening. There's still room for improvement, maybe, but it's always good to acknowledge and to be happy about what you already gained. The amount of freedom and space and calm you gained. And if you come from a very terrified place in your life, no, really like stress, burnout, and suddenly you notice you travel lighter, somehow you travel lighter to life. You're more carefree. Then you know that you're on the right track. And you also know, okay, so much freedom is already happening in my life. I now start to have deep trust and faith that liberation is actually possible, that I don't need to suffer, which doesn't mean that I don't have pain. Yeah, that's not in the book, not to have pain, but suffering. We can all be free of suffering. Because suffering comes from confusion. When we suffer, it's a sign that there's confusion. We don't see ourselves and the situation and the person as they exist. Okay, any question? There's some. Okay. So is there anything?
Hi, Stephan.
Hi.
This is Lori. I'm sorry my camera's not on.
Yeah.
I do have a question, because just on the last thing that you talked about. So suffering comes from confusion, but we'll still have pain. And I think, like, how can you just kind of talk more about that in terms of, like, you know, so like if you get devastating news, right? You're going to be devastated, like you're going to have an emotional reaction. And I think that what you're saying is, then after you've kind of gone through that initial emotional human response, then that's when you can start, you know, or at least where I am in my practice, like then you can kind of kick into that, recognizing this is the confused mind, making it, you know, can you just kind of speak on that?
Yes. Could you imagine that it would be possible, this process you described, like that the initial response, and then you work with it, and then that would be possible to fast forward that? I mean, how long would one need to feel one's feelings completely? I mean, that's like, you know, so if we would be able in a devastating moment of loss to feel the feeling completely, I mean, now ideally, I'm not saying that that is something possible for us, but maybe it's unimaginable that you can imagine to after a loss to need 2 years to feel the feelings, to go through this, to give enough space to the grief, to really feel the pain. But maybe that could be maybe we can imagine to be able to do that within a month, to feel all the feelings. And in it, that does not only mean to feel the pain of the loss of that one person, because it means that you feel the loss of everything you ever lost in your life, back into childhood. That's why experiences are often so overwhelming, because they mix with unintegrated experience from the past. And a fully awakened being, like a Buddha, actually goes not only through the personal experience of loss, he goes through the experience of loss of all beings. Yeah, it is. I mean, I think I think this is a good example of a teaching which would be needed to be adapted to specific people in specific periods, also with specific capacities. Like, this is never, like when I talk with someone grieving, this is never the place to start. That would be unkind. So now I could, give a long talk about being with difficult feelings, and and so on and so on. Yeah, and that's so that needs to be part for many people. This, if like for someone who has been abused, the start to lead that person into more space and ease is not to say, oh, it's just a dream. It's a dream. Don't take it. It's not real. It's and it's also the teachings on karma is not the start to work with that person. Yeah, but then slowly, and sometimes it takes me years of contact with a certain person to even start to introduce the possibility of no self or emptiness. So it's so important for us to find a healthy balance, because this healthy balance is so important. If the teachings on this is a dream is being used, and it can be used for not feeling your feelings, it can be used for spiritual bypassing. So I don't want to feel my feelings. I don't want to feel the pain of the loss. So, wow, that seems to be a good idea, to say, oh, it's empty. There's nobody here who lost something, and also the person I lost is empty. Boom. Then you are out. Then you can just continue to do what we're very, very good at, and that is to suppress our feelings. This also kind of leads into the question, so a fully awakened Buddha, I'm not even sure if something like that exists, to be honest, but that's I had, for me, I don't know. I mean, I could, of course, tell, in my practice of Guru devotion, I see Lama Zopa as a fully enlightened Buddha, but I also see in him as a human being. But let's say that a fully awakened Buddha, which then wouldn't be human anymore, right? Would he still feel grief? I don't know. I think there's a myth that around that liberation means that we wouldn't go through a period of grief anymore. I'm not sure. I can tell you when I'm there. And I don't know. I don't know if I would want to, if I even want that kind of awakening. I'm not sure. Of course, what I want to increase is my capacity to love everything, to love my grief, and to keep on loving that person I lost. To realize that, in a sense, this person is much more than the personality and this body. You know, the sense that I actually can't really lose someone because I never had them, and they were never that kind of fixed, solid person in a meatball. They are much more. So when I'm relaxing into that which was never born in me and in the other person, still, I mean, there will be grief because I lost something. I lost something. I can't touch this person anymore. I can't hear her voice. So I lost something, but I didn't lose her. So the kind of devastating, life destabilizing experiences, I don't think that they need to happen. I think it's possible to still enjoy life in a way, not joy, but a wonderment or an appreciation and an openness, a deepening of tenderness, of love, with the experience of losing a person. So it's always important to balance kind of very strong meditations on emptiness with teachings on interconnectedness, and to honor conditioned reality. It doesn't deny. The realization of emptiness is not like making everything blank. It just makes it lighter, spacious. Yes, Philip, you wanted to say something?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for all these teachings. So are you saying that it's sort of like fully inhabiting the pain, but without judgment?
That would be one way to say it, yeah. Because, I mean, just the word pain is a judgment. To cause something pain is, and it's very, no, words are magic. We are really magician because we conjure reality with words. So that this moment becomes to us what it is through words. So what is pain, or the experience of what we would call pain? What is there? What is that? If we kind of let the word pain drop and really, and then, this is really working. I mean, this is where the work of John Kabat-Zinn started with chronic pain patients which had exhausted any option to get rid of the pain. So the only option they had to look into their relationship with pain. And it's possible for beginners like us in meditation retreat, to have a bit taste of that, like that's something which is usually called pain, starts to be experienced as energy. even maybe as something pleasant. Yeah, but what did you say? Without judgment. Yeah, without judgment. Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah. So that is a good question. I actually really appreciate in my own meditation practice, and I'm trying to bring that also in my guidance. Instead of giving instructions, to give questions. So this with judgment, how could that be? A question could be, you bring yourself into a bit of a settled state with present moment awareness, and then you ask this question: is there something here which I judge? Or what would be here without judgment? Or if I struggle, like I sit down in the evening and I feel like something is going on in the energy of my body, and maybe I know what it is connected with, or I don't know. So then I can use this first and be reminded, hey, this is judgment, this is confusion. That's so. What would happen for a moment if I relax all judgment? Yeah, so that's that. I like to come up with some questions like that in my meditation practice, because that keeps my mind engaged and curious, and that is so important. It's one of the main factors. Helpful factors in meditation is this to trigger that curiosity of looking into your experience. So, or if there's something in my stomach going on, then I could ask, what is it what I judge right now? What is it? What is the judgment here? And then maybe I become aware, oh, there's one judgment is there. It shouldn't happen. This shouldn't happen. It's a judgment. This shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be like this. So I become aware of these judgments when I ask that question. And what I could, and sometimes when you would ask a question like this, in the moment you ask the question, there can be a bit of relief even. I like just by asking this question. Okay, time is up already. It's so quick. Yeah, but I'm happy that I see you tomorrow. I will see. Maybe I will move into the next one, or maybe. I mean, there's a lot in this practice here, and in the commentary also. So let's see. So we share the positive energy of our meeting into all direction, and maybe can be connected with this wish for non-judgment, non-judgment, non-opposing, sharing here in this group with each other, but then also sending it out. The energy of allowing, resting, being with what is. Also into your future, so that when you leave now and you have your days still ahead of you, then, I mean, plenty of opportunities to oppose things, right? So I really get into it, enjoy to oppose how your life is, yeah, and then see what happens. Notice how your mind is like dissatisfied with how your life is, or how you look like, or what you do, or it's horrible. And then maybe can be some moments of when you make a little yes, a little okay, Come on, 50 billion years of evolution, and I'm here witnessing it. Wow, what an honor. It's actually an honor. I mean, it's beyond honor, actually. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephan. See everybody tomorrow.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you.
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.